right, everybody. Come on, let's get our act together. We've got to get the news out in 1 hour and 37 minutes from now. We've got earthquake in New York. We've got an earthquake in Los Angeles. 4 earthquakes in Oklahoma, volcano erupting in Russia. One just erupted in Italy. Hawaii just erupted again. Old Faithful in Yellowstone is getting rather grumpy. An earthquake of magnitude 8.3 on the Ring of Fire close to Japan. That earthquake just off Japan is creating a tsunami 45 to 50 foot tall. It's going to hit Japan. God help those poor people. We just had 6 earthquakes in South America. 4 of those were located in Chile. Reports of earthquakes at Easter Island, and surprisingly, believe it or not, a volcano just blew up in Antarctica. All right, everybody, let's put our game faces on and let's get the news out. It's going to be a wild afternoon in the newsroom.
Good evening, Dr. Chan.
Well, good evening, Dr. Will.
I suppose that you've heard the news about the earthquake in New York.
Yes. I was expecting it to be slightly worse than it was.
Indeed, myself included. It appears your hypothesis is correct. It appears as though Earth's magnetic field is weakening even faster than we had expected.
There are just too many climate anomalies that now correlate more with geomagnetic changes than CO2 levels. My team's findings contradict mainstream climate science. And what is worse, I am getting a ton of political and academic pressure to stay silent.
Same here. Satellite data from SOHO and all of our satellites that are monitoring Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn show similar disturbances. This is not isolated to just Earth. Earth's climate dances to a cosmic rhythm. Orbital eccentricity, axial tilt, and precession Milankovitch cycles shape our ice ages and warm periods. When solar energy concentrates in the north, glaciers retreat. When it fades, they return. During the last glacial period, sea levels dropped by 320 meters. The Baltic Sea became a lake. Mammoths roamed what is now the UK. Today, we live in an interglacial calm, but for how long? Geological records whisper of these cycles. Ice cores, cave deposits, marine sediments, they all tell the same story. Climate is not just carbon. It is cosmic. Yet some scientists insist the sun has no effect. No role in climate. No link to earthquakes. Just mankind. And only mankind. But the sun is waking. Sunspots multiply. Flares intensify. The galactic current sheet draws near. One flare. One EMP. And the electronic age ends in silence.
I agree wholeheartedly. Well, I have got to get to class. We will talk more about this at lunch. The Krasheninnikov volcano located in Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula has just erupted.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot that's going on to the Earth today. We've just discovered a brand new 9.3 earthquake in the Pacific Ocean on the Ring of Fire. There's a 40-foot tidal wave now netted for Japan as we speak. Preparations are being made to save as many people as possible. This will be even a greater event than that of Fukushima. Our thoughts and prayers go with the people of Japan. Another earthquake just off the Philippines, a 6.6, Thailand 8.3, and along the coast of China an 8.8 magnitude earthquake took place in the ocean about 15 kilometers out. More news at 11. Back to you, Kathy.
Oh god, it's happening so much faster than I thought it would. Theories, they said. Just guesses, they said. I doubt they will even listen to me with this staring them in the face.
What's what Dr. Rowe was like? It's time I head down to see me old doc.
Suddenly, over 140 tornadoes appeared around the world, all at one time on the same day. Hello, Jeremy. I see you have estimated the time of the solar forcing arrival.
I have. Dr. Rowe, is it truly time?
Yes, Jeremy. I fear this is the time. We just measured a drop of 15% in the magnetic field in just 3 days. We're seeing Aurora Borealis as far as the equator now.
Well, Professor, I wanted to tell you how sorry I am about not contacting you any sooner, but I've been overdue. There's a lot of folks out there looking for people like me that stay prepared. You know, the former military types.
That this new modern government does not like a survivalist types. Didn't want to give away the plan. Didn't want to get you involved. We need your research for what is coming.
I appreciate that, Jeremy. You're absolutely right. It's best that you have laid low all this time. So tell me, what if any progress in our plan to survive have you made?
Well, I made good use of what my economics and finance teachers taught me. Real estate. I've been going to all the different sheriff's auctions around the area. You know, each and every county has tax properties that they just can't seem to get their tax money out of, and then they put them up for auction. So me and the wife, we've been going to each one of these county tax sales. We sign up what land we can afford and then fixing them up, make it look nice. We got us a small crew of former Marines that are kind of down on their luck right now. Gave them a job of fixing up houses that we buy from the tax sales, make them look real pretty. Bring them up to the code, and then we sell them owner finance by owner. They sell like hotcakes. I pay as little as I can for the house or the land. Then I make several times my money back by selling it on a 20-year note. I try to make the house payment lower than the rent in the nearby apartment complex. I point this out and show them that, hey, you can own this home and you're paying less than that apartment complex that you're living in now. They can't wait to sign up. That way I got me a steady stream of income. Well, long story short, that's how I'm able to finance our little plan. You see, in one of those sheriff's auctions I bought myself a mountain. That mountain, it's just a little over 3,000 acres. I bought it for a song. And you know what the nice part of it all is? It was at one time used for underground trucking. Seems that one of those food companies bought the thing, sold all the caliche out of the mountain, in exchange for the state to tunnel out all of the cliche. And they put their food product in there because it was a steady temperature and a steady humidity. Perfect for what we're wanting to do. Seems a company no longer wanted that particular piece of property, abandoning it for taxes. And that is how I came into possession of the perfect survivalist home. You've got to see this place. The entrance is got trees, shrubbery, everything camouflage. The entrance inside, there's a seal gate, so we've got padlocked, nobody's getting in. Now we've got all that acreage, but better yet, for 300 feet down where the state tunneled out all that caliche rock for making roast. This thing goes back 31 miles and it's got multiple rooms that the food companies all put their semi-truck trailers inside, and we can make into roofs for families. This is ideal spot. Not only that, Dr. Rel, but a couple of the boys has got master's degrees in chemistry. And I got a couple of mechanical engineers that are just geniuses at what they do. All military trained. We took a chapter right out of Badass's way of recycling plastic. Take raw plastic. Stick it in one end, run it through a catalyst for each fluid that you want on the other end. Diesel, gasoline, kerosene, jet fuel if you want it, anything petroleum based, and best of all, it gives us paraffin by the truckload at the end.
Paraffin. I'll be doggone. That's going to be perfect for making candles. I know you've already got enough cord to make the wicks for the candle, so I don't even have to ask for that. So how long can we make sure we're going to have enough kerosene for the lamps that's going into this cave of yours?
I estimate between 30 and 35 years. Way I got that much plastic was, I got together with several environmental groups. Told them I had a recycling project, and I had some chemists that were working on some ways of turning plastic into fuel and oil. They were so excited. They all got together with their groups and brought us enough plastic to last us no less than 3 decades.
Some of these rooms we're using for seed vaults. We're trying to get as much GMO-free seed as possible. It's awful hard to do nowadays. But we're managing to get quite a few heirloom seed. Some had to sneak in from South America, Mexico, and from Germany. Some of these rooms is set up as field hospitals, some machine shops, and other things. I've got several diesel generators, and we fixed them up so that the EMP pulse from the sun will not destroy the generators themselves. That will allow us to run our machine shop after we get through, and we'll have enough diesel out of the plastic, like I say, to run us around 30 years or a little longer.
Breaking news. Africa's tectonic plates are on the move. The rift is now 8,800 kilometers long, some 2,200 kilometers longer than it was just a week ago. Earthquakes of 8.4 on the Richter scale For the first time ever, a second volcano has erupted in Antarctica. Massive lava flows in an earthquake of 6 is happening as we speak. Back to you, David.
Dr. Williams. Tell me what is going on, please.
Dr. Chan. The Ring of Fire. There's earthquakes all around the Ring of Fire. It's happening so much faster than I had predicted. You see, I've been going off over Dr. Rose and Dr. Andrews' data on the magnetic field weakening. The poles have jumped by leaps and bounds in multiple directions. This should not happen this fast. We have less than 2 weeks before the total polar reversal hits us.
News crews from all over the world were starting to get nervous. Why so many natural disasters in such a short time is the question. Politicians and political pundits keep saying it's a man-made disaster because of modern-day industrial activities. Yes, man has polluted his planet, but this time, it was nature. The sun is shooting out X-class solar flares with a growing intensity and frequency, but this was something else. But what they wondered, a third volcano erupted in Antarctica today. Snow and ice is melting at an unheard-of rate. The lava flow is unprecedented. The geomagnetic excursion causing the solar forcing of our sun and our solar system has begun. Wildfires consuming millions of acres all over the world began breaking out as lightning suddenly striking the Earth from an atmosphere with no clouds or with clouds. The air is full of static electricity everywhere. Earthquakes are beginning to devastate cities, towns, and rural areas. An X-class solar flare of a magnitude of over 500 just erupted. The solar forcing has now begun. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, nuclear bombs began to drop all over the United States and NATO nations. This was accidentally because of all the earthquakes and volcanoes and fires. Then the AI computer in Russia and in China determined that they were under a nuclear attack and gave a false signal to launch nuclear warheads on all American and NATO countries. In retaliation, Operation Spoil Sport went into action. We began launching our own barrage of nuclear warheads on China and Russia. Jeremy and his crew knew that this was going to happen. In preparation, they began to bring their own families in first, making sure all of their family would be able to survive. Aunts, uncles, grandparents, everybody. Each of the Marines did the same. But we need fresh blood if we're going to start anew, said Jeremy. It's time to enact Operation Disaster Code. My God, how can these fools do this at a time like this? They've actually started World War III, in the middle of a solar forcing and galactic excursion. They're mad. Stark raving mad. Dr. Chen, have you been in contact with Jeremy yet? Yes, Dr. Rowe. It is time that we begin getting volunteers from the students in our classes to volunteer to become the seed for the next generation of human beings. We need a wide variety of DNA if humanity is going to survive this. As far as I know, no other settlements are going underground anywhere else in the world, except for a few hobos and the people who do not have anywhere else to go to live. However, they do not have the stockpile of food, water, medical supplies, and other things that we do. It will be tough enough with what little we have with the number of people that we're going to need.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a special announcement tonight. It seems that we're about to experience one of the largest solar flares that's ever happened in recorded history. It is expected to exceed the Carrington event. When that happens, all automobiles, trucks, EVs, and military equipment, airliners, and electric lights in every building will go out instantly. This is a worldwide, catastrophic event that is about to happen, and our best instruments are telling us it's just a matter of a couple of days at the very most. I've been working with many other college professors across the country. If you're willing to jump on a bus, grab everything you own because we're going underground. Because when you're on top, the surface of the Earth, the radiation from the nuclear warheads have already been launched, mixed with the above Carrington event. 95% of the world's population will die off. Not just in America, I'm speaking of the entire world. We have enough space for approximately 400 people. You will be the parents of a new generation of human beings who will repopulate the world. I hate to do it this way, but the human race will die off without you. This is entirely voluntary, it is your decision. Yes, we'll all die on the surface. We can't stop it. Earthquakes are taking place all over the world as we speak. Volcanoes are erupting. 18 volcanoes at one time have just erupted in the last 72 hours. Active volcanoes in the middle of Antarctica. Thus is melting faster than we could possibly imagine. The magnetic pole has now split into 3 north poles and 2 south poles, and it's constantly moving around. This makes navigation next to impossible by sea or by air. Your cell phones and your GPSs won't work. You can try them, but they won't work. It's up to you. Do you want to be humanity's lifeline, or do you want mankind to just die off and we've become extinct? The choice is yours. This is purely voluntary, like I said, but if you decide to go with us 530 miles from where we're at, you'll need to bring everything you own with you. Just know anything electronic is going to be worthless. If you have coats, be sure and bring those, because we do not know what the weather will be like once the Earth settles down. We do know that shortly thereafter, we will go into an Arctic season. Where we're at will easily be between 60 and 70 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. The tunnels that we're going to be going into were originally hollowed out by the state, digging out limestone, caliche rock, and other roadbed materials. For a long time, major food corporations placed their semi-trucks in these hollowed-out sections that they had created out of the limestone, all for food storage. They had abandoned this particular one, we don't know why. But we have a series of Marines that are educated, and they've done a miraculous job of securing our future. We will live like people in the times before Christ. Life will be hard and it will be primitive. But you will be alive. Stay out here, and you most surely will die. Again, the choice is entirely your own. Buses will begin to leave in 3 hours. If you're not on the buses, you will be left behind. Now is the time to go get your belongings and meet us behind the campus where they store the college's buses.
Out of more than 300 students in the classroom, only 50 young men and 78 young women decided that they were going to follow the professor, as it would be better to live primitively than it would be to die. Everyone in the classroom was well aware that what had started, the nuclear warheads, were being exchanged between countries as they sat there in the classroom. Class was dismissed. The 50 men and 78 women went to their dorm rooms, packed all of their belongings, and headed for the college school buses behind the auditorium. The journey of 530 miles began.
The same explanations went through about 15 different colleges, yet only a handful of students from each college volunteered to go. Many scoffed. Some called it a scam. But it was no scam. The truth would come sooner than anyone thought. Just as all the buses, cars, vans, and other vehicles pulled up near the entrance of their underground shelter, the next Carrington event suddenly took place. And all electronics around the world suddenly died without warning.
It was merely moments after everyone had gone into the cave, leaving their vehicles outside, bringing their belongings, the kill shot took place. The level of radiation combined with the nuclear radiation from all the warheads that had been going off around the country was enough to kill off anything when the matter of hours.
Kill shot after kill shot took place from the sun. Not since 48,000 years ago had such devastation to the Earth taken place. Every 12,000 years a major geomagnetic excursion takes place, often followed by a frozen planet for at least 3,000 years. Then, a warming period, then another pole flip, like the one that created Noah's flood. But this time the oceans would only slosh around with tsunami. After tsunami covering the coastal states and other countries, oceanfront property, it would not flood the whole Earth this time. It would instead burn. The devastation was worldwide. Fire, lightning everywhere, winds over 100 miles an hour at any given location. The world was in ruin. Only a small group of humans, other than the lively group of students under Jeremy and the college professor's great care. More than 99% of the world's population died that day. Those who sought shelter in areas like a subway or underground train only discovered that the metal structures in the roof attracted the geomagnetic excursion's magnetic flux and created lightning in the underground tunnels that they were in. They were short-lived. Death was absolute.
As everyone moved further into the caves, they saw the other students that had come from other colleges. They were very excited and began jumping up and down, waving and shouting, "Hey, we are here! Hey, we are here!" They had a sudden realization that they would be the only survivors in possibly the entire world. This was a unique opportunity to survive the days ahead. Out of 15 colleges and universities, only 340 young adults made it to Jeremy's cave system.
With over 5,400 rooms available, each had a garage door that would allow them privacy for their bedroom. Once the door went up, they could see that they had a futon with pillow, a desk, chairs, clothes rack, chest drawers, and other sparse accommodations. All adequate for human survival. Suddenly, but all the tectonic plates of the world began to turn loose and the continents began to drift once again. Massive cracks all throughout the Earth, 600 to 800 volcanoes erupting throughout the oceans of the world, and 400 to 500 volcanoes erupting on the surface of the Earth. The fissures in the Earth were too numerous to count. The magnetic poles began to shift. And suddenly they flip, as magnetic poles begin to settle in their new reversal. Somewhere close to Brazil the North Pole begins to settle in. Right in the middle of the Philippines the South Pole begins to settle in. The AMOC, the underwater river that is in the ocean, comes to a screeching halt. This begins disruptive climate change all over the world. Brazil begins to freeze over as well as does the Philippines. In the middle of summer Texas crops failed due to a combination of rapid temperature changes as well as excessive UV radiation from the sun. Such events are taking place all over the world. Crops all over the world died. Insects are dying. Animals of multiple species are now becoming extinct. In our mountain excursion near the Wyoming and Colorado area, the temperature now drops to 70 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit. Winds exceeding 150 miles an hour. It will be a challenge for our adventurers as they rebuild the population of the Earth.
As the geomagnetic excursion pushes the boulders and asteroids as well as unbelievable amounts of dust into the sun then begins to darken to the point that appears to yearly be sloughed out. It then goes into an additional micronova event. Normally only 1 micronova per 6,000 years takes place. But there was an unusually large amount of dust and asteroids entering the sun in the solar system this time. On the Earth, the sun appeared to be black as sackcloth plate of hair. The moon was darker and his blood.
Time passes. The college professors that brought the students together, the college professors continue their students' education. Despite the fact that they are now living in a far more primitive lifestyle. But now, the knowledge that they're teaching is how to survive by creating crude medicines, growing food and cave and tunnel structures. They now find themselves as the students are growing to middle-aged parents. They have settled down to lifestyle in which they've now grown accustomed. While child rearing is a challenge, the life is simple, the children are happy. And there seems to be enough food for everyone to eat. The freeze-dried foods that were in storage has been a godsend. Since the temperature in the roof would remain a consistent temperature, heating was not a problem.
Thanks to Jeremy's ingenuity, growing racks of both hydroponic and soil boxes, placed under the air vents that were originally designed to provide fresh air and exhaust from the diesel trucks that brought in supplies daily. This is so that the drivers of the trucks would not asphyxiate. That in the thousands of workers, as well as the diesel engines starving for air. Amazingly, the food rapidly, proficiently, and the repeated process was robust. Since these were heirloom seed, they could then harvest the seed from the food and replant the new seed from each food item. This gave them a never-ending supply of fresh fruits and vegetables. The vents also allowed for sunlight to be reflected down the holes with mirrors. Jeremy had placed these mirrors at the mouth of the air vents so that sunlight would be available most of the day. Over time, they had managed to build themselves quite a community center. The adults could visit, children could play, all within the safety of the underground trucking tunnels. It was now more than just a home, it was a legacy to their children. Soon they would be able to venture out as the climate had begun to return to somewhat normal. They would now be able to plant crops outside of the tunnel at the base of the mountain. Plant life started growing back at an amazing rate. Small jungles popped up here and there throughout the world. Surprisingly, there were honeybees. As the wildflowers began to grow, so did the quantity of bee swarms. The temperatures are now rising to the 70s and the 80s in Fahrenheit. Geiger counters indicate the radiation was far lower than had been expected, thankfully. This means that we can now build habitats outside the caves and plant crops without worry. The currents of air were blocked primarily by the surrounding mountains of the area. Only a very small amount of radiation had entered the area, thus allowing for forestation and all other forms of plant life to grow abundantly, as well as animal life, which had been fortunately be in the area during the nuclear war and the excursion.
After an aging Jeremy validated the area with a Geiger counter, the men decided to get together and venture out to see what they could find in the way of finding new foods, places to grow food, and building materials so that they may start an EVA with their families in tow.
Having planned out several years prior to the disaster, saws, two-man bow, saws, axes, chisels, hatchets, wood planers, and other necessary tools to cut wood and build log cabins were in store wrapped in oilcloth. The men begin cutting trees, seasoning the wood, then building their new shelters. Some built their homes on the hilltops, some preferred down close to the lake or flowing river.
Multiple tool sheds were built, as well as small animal shelters. The reason for the small animal shelters is, our survivors in their journeys outward have discovered farm animals that were also survivors of the nuclear holocaust, the geomagnetic excursion, and the pole flip. Chickens, goats, horses, cows, some wild rabbits, all which could be put in containment to be raised for food.
Dozens of push plows were available in the storage, along with multiple bags of seeds that everyone had hoped would germinate. After a few weeks, wheat began to grow, and a massive wheat field sprung up from where grasses once grew before.
And so, the world turned silent. No engines. No airplanes. No cities. No voices echoing across the plains. Just the wind and the hoofbeats of the horses they now ride. The silence of the quiet breath of those who remain. They do not rebuild, no. Not yet. There is no blueprint for a world erased. But they remember. They remember the warmth of firelight, the sound of laughter, the fragile beauty of what once was. In time, they will teach their children not of nations or borders, but of survival, of kindness, of the stars that still shine above a broken earth. And maybe, just maybe, the ruins will become roots. Not of the old world, but of something new. Because even in the shadow of extinction, life finds a way to whisper. Let us begin again.